Shavua Tov. I don't know who Esty is, but Shavua Tov. Kelsey, Shavua Tov. We see your name, but we don't see you.
Shavua Tov, can you hear us?
We hear you, but we don't see you.
Oh. Hey, we'll figure it out.
So we can be in the light and not in the dark. As we get started,
We'll figure it out.
Havdalla. And we gather the Krasnansky family for Havdalla as well.
Our family, where's our family? Is our family coming in from everywhere? Huh? Okay. No.
Turn the camera on.
Okay. We're ready to begin as we go to the Havdalla to not just finish Shabbat and separate, which Havdalla means to separate Shabbat from the week, but to bring really Shabbat, the holiness and the beautiful spirit of Shabbat and the energy of Shabbat into our coming week. Hine el Yeshua siyi eftach v'lo yefchad ki yaziv zimras Adonai v'yehi Yeshua Ushiyavtem mayim v'sasayin mimayinei haYeshua L'Adonai haYeshua alamcha b'yichaser chaser lo Adonai Noi Simonu Mizgavlanu Eleyakoi Sela Adonai Tzvois Ashrei Yadam B'Iteyach B'Ch Adonai Yoishi Yamelech Yaneinu V'Yayinu Odim Haisa Vayro V'Simcha V'Sasai Mikar Ein Tia Lavanu Kaisis Weizesa Hashem Adonai Yekra Davri Marana Baruch Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam V'rei Priya Gofen
Amen.
Baruch Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam V'rei Bnei B'samim
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam b'rei merei oel.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamavdil ben kodesh l'chayil b'nei l'chayil shemin Yisrael amim v'yem atfila sheishet mi'amaz Baruch atah Adonai hamavdil ben kodesh l'chayil.
Amen.
Eliyahu
Elia.
We're now going to move over. Going to move over to our market table. We're going to share a story, the weekly story, to help us bring the bracha and in the prayer and Havdalla, where we're asking Hashem is to give us a week, a blessed week, a week full of health. We should all have health and full health.
Amen.
A week of parnasa, a week we should have parnasa. Hashem should give us whatever we need in whatever channels He's able to. Hashem has many channels to give it for us and all Jews. And there should only be blessing and good things.
Amen.
I want to actually share a story. Shvatov Hadith. I want to share a story related to a story about parnasa. And there are many. From the Baal Shem Tov, many other Rebbes. This is a story not with the Baal Shem Tov, with another tzaddik, Rav Meir Pramishlan, one of the fourth generation of Rebbes and Hasidic leaders. And the story goes that once there was a Polish landowner. They were called a Paretz. Paretz he was the big guy. He was the big cheese. People used to own a tremendous amount of land. In Poland, the way it was is the land was owned by individual people. Usually a Paretz owned an incredible tract of land, kilometers upon kilometers upon kilometers, and they made their livelihood by renting out inns to people, the forest for timber, the lakes for fishing, and this is where they made all their money. And they used to sit and party all day long. That was the life of a Paretz. Very often the Pritzim were not friendly to the Jews, and though they dealt a lot with the Jews, they made their lives very miserable. But it happened to be this Paretz had a Jewish manager who was an incredible manager. He did very well for him. He managed all of his contracts with the timber and the lumber and the lakes and the innkeepers, and he trusted him very much. And it was a very, very good manager for him, and he was very happy with his. With this manager, and obviously this manager did very well for himself. He lived a very good life, to the point that the Paretz had so much confidence in the manager, he didn't even question what he did. He just let him do his thing. It happened to be that in one of the villages where that was owned by the Paretz, there was a rundown inn that was not being rented, and it was in a very bad condition. And there was a Jew who was very poor, and he thought that if he can get hold of this inn and somehow bring it back to life, he can make a living. So when this landowner's manager, the Jewish fellow, happened to be in his town, he approached him and he said, if you can get to the landowner and tell him, give me the thing for free for a little while, I'll spruce it up and fix it up, and then he will eventually get rent from it. Today there's no rent coming in. Eventually take 1, 2, 3 years, then he'll get rent and it'll be good for him. So the Jew, who was the manager, said, you know what, it's a good idea. I'll tell the landowner and I'll get back to him. And he worked with the landowner. He convinced him to give him the property. And in a few years, in 2 years, 3 years, we'll start paying. And that's what happened. And the guy took it and he fixed it up. He got a bunch of peasants help him fix up the land and the inn. And everything was going very, very well. Came up the 2-year, 3-year period, and he was doing so well that the Paretz, the landlord, was curious. He heard about the success of this fellow. He wanted to experience himself. What did this guy do to the inn? He went to visit it. The innkeeper took him up very well and treated him like royalty. So at the end, he said, it's coming up the time. You're gonna have to make. Work on the contract for your rent, etc. So you'll meet with my manager. So the innkeeper said, your manager, why should I go and meet with your manager to make a deal? Your manager likes to take commission. He likes to get the people to give him money. He's making money on the side. Let me deal with you directly. We'll be honest with each other. But the manager, he was implying that the manager is stealing from the landowner. The landowner started to think, really? Is it true? My manager is stealing. So he said that maybe this guy is being so honest that maybe I'll hire him to be my new manager. He was successful in building an inn. So he goes home to Paretz, he calls in his manager and he says, I'm firing you, I don't trust you anymore. And he hired this guy to become his new manager. So all of a sudden, this fellow who was the manager for years and made a nice parnassah was out of money. And he was destitute, things were terrible. So he went to his Rebbe, Reb Meir Pramishlan, famous Chassidic Rebbe, master, great master. And he poured his heart out to me. He says, I lost my job. I helped the Jew. I got him an ability to get an in for nothing. And look how he pays me back. He gets me thrown out of my job. He took some of my job. And this is what's going on. Rebbe, I need your help. So the Rebbe said, go home. Don't worry. Everything will be good. He goes home. But how can he not worry? A few weeks later, Reb Meir Pramishlan had a guest. And this guest was a famous Rebbe. His name was Havdalla of Lezhenska, grandson of Elimelech Milezhenska, great Rebbe himself. And he was a guest by Reb Meir Pramishlan. And Reb Meir Pramishlan asked him before he left, do me a favor. On your way home, stop by this and this village. Go to this fellow's house. I need you to help someone. Even though it wasn't part of his journey, he decided that Reb Meir Pramishlan asked him, it must be a purpose. He went. And he goes to the house, pulls up with his wagon to this fellow's house. The guy doesn't know who the guest is. This guy who he comes to has guests all the time. He takes him in. He takes care of him like anyone else. But the Malamed, the local teacher in the town, sees a carriage outside someone's house. He says, who's a guest in town? I didn't know there was a guest. So he knocks on the door. He goes in. Who is your guest? And then he sees and he recognizes Havdalla of Lezhensk. He recognizes his face. He goes, oh, Rebbe, you're so special. Come, it's such an honor to have you in our town. He starts telling everyone in the town, we have a Rebbe that came through the town and everyone came to get blessings. As well, this was the town where the manager who was fired lived. Next door to this fellow where Havdalla stopped by. So he also goes in and he turns to me and says, Havdalla, I have to talk to you. And he pours out his heart, the whole story. So when Havdalla heard the story, he realizes that's why Reb Meir Pramishlan sent him there to help this Jew, because his problem was very acute and very immediate. So he says, tell me, what's the name of the person who you helped who ended up turning his back on you and taking over your job? His name was Pesach. So Havdalla said, Pesach never lasts more than 8 days. And he left. So the old manager is thinking, very nice, 8 days, what does Pesach have to do with my situation? And the seventh day came and nothing is going on. So what does 8 days mean? The next day, a carriage pulls up again in front of this fellow, the fellow's house who was where Havdalla stopped by. And the guests come in, they say, the landowner wants to see you. Usually in those days, if you get called by a Gentile, especially someone powerful, it was very scary. But you have no choice, he went. So the landowner says, I heard that you had a very big guest in your house. Yeah, he said, how many guests? He said, no, there was a guest, a great rabbi was at your house lately. He says, yeah, we could go, a rabbi was by my house. He says, describe him to me. So he starts describing how he looks. So he said, that's the man. He said, a few nights ago, I had a dream that the man came to me, and this man who you're describing came to me and said that you let go of your manager who was very loyal to you and never cheated you, never hurt you. You let go of him for no reason. And those things don't go unpunished. Hire him again right away. I didn't pay attention. A dream is a dream. Last night I had the dream again. And he said, if you don't take care of it and you don't put him back in his position, it's going to be very bad for you. He said, twice a dream, I don't play games. So what do I do? So the man said, the previous owner, the previous manager is my next door neighbor. let's go, we'll bring him back. And he brought him back and he rehired him and he got him back his position. And the guy who he helped, the Jew he helped get an inn, who replaced him, he threw him out of his inn, he threw him out of his estate, and he said, I don't want to see your face again, because livelihood will never be made through cheating and hurting other people. To make a livelihood, you have to do it honestly. Someone helped you, put in your place, don't look to dispose them just because you're successful. Don't let it get to your head to think that now you're better than anyone else and you can throw anyone else out. And the mitzvah we ask Hashem, the blessing we ask Hashem to make livelihood only comes with the bracha. The bracha only comes when we're honest, when we do it the way Hashem says, the way the Torah says, then livelihood will come. So we need to have, the ingredients are bitachon, faith in Hashem. The ingredients are honesty, and then Hashem will give us everything that we need. We should all have everything we need fully and completely for ourselves and for all of Klal Yisrael. And we should quickly get all back on our feet to be able to do what we need to do to live back in society, and every single person should be able to make a living in the fullest and complete sense. So I'm going to take it off mute, and I want to wish everyone a great Shavua Tov,
Shavua
a beautiful week,
Tov,
and all the best, only good things.
Shabbat tov.
Bracha,
Shavua
and only
Tov
bracha, and
לכולכם.
only success and happiness in our
Amen.
lives.
Amen.
Amen. Thank
Likewise.
you.
And we look
Thank you.
forward to seeing you. We look forward to seeing you on all our Zooms this week again.
Yeah, and the many
Amen.
Zooms that we're going to have and that we have already.
Bye, Vizalmi. Shavua Tov.
Beautiful.
Shavua Tov, everyone.
We love you guys.
Tov.
Shabbat tov.
Kol
And have
Tov.
an excellent week, and we hope to see you on all the different ones.
Yes.
Amen.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay?
Great.
Bye.
Be well.
Shavua Tov. Shavua Tov.
Bye-bye.
Ciao.